On this episode of the Failure Report, we examine how serial entrepreneur Stanley Chase went from delivering pizzas to being the founder of a vegan fast food and jerky empire. Here's my report with accidental vegan and business owner Stanley Chase. Alrighty, thank you so much, Stanley, for taking time to speak with me today. I am so excited to have you on this episode of the Failure Report. So I've been following you and your career and your products since I moved to Louisville. So I got into Louisville in 2014, and I knew I was introduced to the jerky first. So Louisville vegan jerky is something I would just see in the local coffee shops, and then in 2016, is that correct? You launched Morels?
It was February of 2017, I signed the lease. Yeah.
And so I want to start at the very top. I want to know about you and why you got into this space of vegetarian, vegan food and becoming a restaurateur and a product. Do you sell products? All of those things. I just want to know about who you are first.
Okay. Well, so I before I did anything, I was doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was delivering pizzas. I was like, I had a few bands I was in. I was running karaoke.
Yeah.
I was like DJing weddings. I mean, I was just doing a bunch of just like, I don't know. I had no direction.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, if I can make $100 here, $100 there, like I would just do that.
Good, right?
But I never had any inspiration or ideas to do a business. Like I was just like, but I think as I got older, I was, feeling an urge to really do something that I had creative control over. Mm-hmm. And I never really knew it, but I think I always wanted to work for myself because most of the jobs I had, I was my own boss in my own ways.
You're just a hustler. You're like, I mean, karaoke, DJing, band, delivering pizzas, like that's a hustle mentality for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely out there a lot. I just didn't, I didn't, when people like grandparents would ask me what I'm doing, I'm like, well, I'm doing karaoke here in a couple hours. So.
Right, so I got to go. All your questions.
But so I moved to Philly in 2009. And I met this really great chef. His name's Rich Landau, and he's like, I think he's still the only Michelin vegan chef.
Wow.
But I just like randomly got hired at his restaurant off Craigslist. It didn't even list the name of the restaurant. And I was so aware of him.
Right.
It was one of my things when I moved to Philly. I was like, well, maybe one day I'll meet Rich.
Yeah.
And I walked in, and he was the one interviewing me. And I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And, of course, I was like, I'm like such a big fan. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, okay.
Cool.
And, but yeah, he hired me, and I was just like a line cook at his restaurant. And one day we were talking, and he said, what do you want to do? You want to continue being in the line cook, and I was like, man, I'd love to open my own restaurant. And he was like, well, go home and like write up a menu and like bring it in the morning so I can take a look at it. I was like, all right. Okay. So I went home, and I not only designed the menu, but I designed Morels. Like I drew like a logo and all that. I took it in. He was like, do it. Like just do this. And I was like, I have like $160.
Right.
Like, and he was like, man, just like figure it out. Like he started with a hot dog cart, like a vegan hot dog cart in like the middle of Philly.
I have to pause. My heart just fluttered. That's like one of my biggest goals. Like out of all the things I've done in my professional life, I want a hot dog stand, a vegetarian, vegan hot dog stand. That's it. Like those are life goals for me. That's going to be third chapter. Yeah. Stay tuned.
Well, I mean, it's like, especially in today's world, like, think about having something like that 20 years ago when you're just relying on foot traffic. Yeah. Where now you can get a bunch of followers, tell people where you're at. Like, but yeah, so I moved back to Louisville, and I started working at this pizza place, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm getting right back into my same nickel and dime like jobs where, again, I was doing a bunch of stuff. Sold my car. All I had was a bike. Yeah. And I've heard about this thing called Kickstarter, and it had just started. I mean, it was so new. There wasn't any Kickstarter in Louisville. It was like just like a new concept. So I signed up for it and was like, oh, I'm going to open up a food truck this way. And I made a video that's terrible. It's still online if you want to watch it. It's very embarrassing.
We're definitely adding that.
It's horrible. And I was like so uncomfortable in front of the camera. I'd never pitched a business idea in my life. Right. I just felt like, the imposter syndrome was like through the roof. Like I was just like, I would like to open a business. So I ended up getting a ton of press, not because of my food truck necessarily. I mean, some people were interested in the vegan concept, but most everybody invited me on to the news because they wanted to know what Kickstarter was.
Really?
Yeah, that would be the first 5 minutes of my interview. They'd be like, "So, what is this you're raising money on? It's a crowdsource, know." But it was great because everybody kept inviting me on to explain Kickstarter, and then I would just be like, "By the way, you can go on and donate." Yeah. So I raised my goal was like 12,000. I raised 13.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. Then I just kind of the theme of my life is I've Googled my way everywhere. I just found this guy in Ohio that builds food trucks on Craigslist in Ohio. And I don't know. I still don't. He delivered the truck. I mean, I paid him the money. I told him what my budget was. And the day I even picked it up, I was like, I can't believe this guy didn't scam me.
Right.
I'd never met this guy in my life.
And it just all happened.
It happened.
Man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because you're so accustomed to that being a part of life. You know what I mean? I know I'm going to hit an F up at some point. You know what I mean? Is this it?
Yeah. Well, and plus, I'd never even, just that much money. I'd never even seen that much money before. And I was like, I just was like, this is a lot of money somebody could just run off with.
Yeah.
And then there goes my whole everything.
My Kickstarter fame is
right,
out the window.
Yeah. But it happened, and then so being even the premise of your show, the food truck was I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the business. I didn't like. Louisville's not laid out for it correctly. The foot traffic isn't there. There were no laws in place when I started. Right. So I was working with Brandon Cohn and Fisher and all these people to try to get some law because we were operating illegally every time we were operating.
Yeah.
So that was a big pain in the butt. There was me and 2 other food trucks. It was Holy Moly and Little Cheesers.
Wow.
And And
is Holy Moly still around?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
And he runs Lupo as well.
Oh, so that's where I can get those tacos. I've been chasing that kimchi.
It's a pizza. It's a pizza place, but he does. I'm almost certain he still he was at Forecastle this year and stuff with his food truck. So he still does
there.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But we were all just starting out together at the exact same time, and I just didn't. Again, I didn't like the business. It was very hard to get consistent revenue coming in. We would have a good weekend and then nothing for 6 or 7 days. And, so I was like, I need to do something else. I was still working at this pizza place and running the food truck, and it just wasn't making any sense. So my brother worked at Heine Brothers at the time, so I was like, what if we could get I used to make these wraps all the time for my friends, and they were just Philly cheesesteak wraps or chorizo wraps or whatever they were.
But they were vegan.
Yeah, yeah, everything was vegan, and so I brought up some to the owner of Heine Brothers, and I was like, because I heard through the grapevine he was vegetarian, and they didn't have any vegetarian products, and so I gave him, and he was like, "Oh, these are great." And they brought him into 2 stores, and they were selling out. That's amazing. And he was like, "All right, we're putting you in every store." Yeah. I was like, "Yes." Yeah. And then Rainbow Blossom, same thing.
Wow.
Summer was just like, "Yeah, come on in, let's do this." So she put us in all their stores, and then before I knew it, we had some momentum going, and it was consistent, and I could, I knew what was coming. I knew we had, all right, we have 300 wraps to make this week or whatever.
You have to make this, and I have to be able to sell that. And that was your first product, because I saw jerky first. And so having your vegan wraps were the first kind of business that was the launched.
First product, yeah. And so I started kind of pooling a lot of resources. My brother, Josh, he went to SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, and he's just an insane illustrator, and he does a lot of the artwork on our bags, and I asked him if he could help me start designing the labels for our wraps, and and so we were kind of working together, and then I had like one employee, but that business like took off, and it was doing really well.
That's awesome.
And that was like my gig for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And then,
that's amazing. How did you get into vegetarian food? Were you always vegetarian yourself, or?
No, I actually dated a woman in college who was vegetarian, and she was from Savannah as well. She went to SCAD, and she bought a bunch of like meat like substitutes and kept them in my freezer, and she left them. And I just tried one. I used to make fun of her all the time about it. But I tried one day, and I was like, "These are amazing.
This is really good."
Yeah, I was just like, and my friends were like, "Yeah, you can't eat that stuff all the time." And I was like, "Yes, I can.
I could, right?"
Yeah. And I just started.
That's really amazing. And that's how you became a vegetarian. Because are you currently a vegetarian?
Yeah,
or
I'm vegan.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But no, I didn't. I tell people this all the time. I had no group. I had no philosophy. I had no. It was just like I just like really liked the meat analogs. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
He's like, I like the way it tasted. It was good.
It also like it felt like really counterculture to me, and I think that my dad's a chef, so I would take his recipes and then like veganize them.
Yeah, and make them really good. So it's so interesting that you say that, because I grew up vegetarian. I grew up vegan, and then I lived my life as a vegetarian, and It's funny because my grandparents, which were born in 1922 and 1924 respectively, were vegetarians. They probably became vegetarians in like their 30s. But I mean, when you think about the time,
how did they figure that?
They wanted the healthier diet. They realized that they grew up in North Carolina, and they saw a lot of meat slaughtering. They grew up on farms, and they knew that it was just not the very best way to eat, right? And so whenever they had my mom, they made her a vegetarian, and then my mom were vegan, and then my mom raised us vegan, and so we're third generation vegans in a space where that's just not heard of. I see vegetarianism and veganism now as kind of like a sect. You know what I mean? Like individuals kind of gravitate to that because it's a cultural thing. Right. For me, it was just normal. I mean, I remember my sister saying that she didn't want to eat her sandwiches in school. And my mom would always be like, "Why didn't you eat your lunch today?" And she would wait till she got in the car to eat it. And
Joint Effort Business and Marketing Consulting specializes in finding solutions for startups, small businesses, and nonprofits. We offer branding, marketing, social media management, development, and capacity building consulting services to companies who are just starting out or need help taking their business to the next level. Please contact us online for a consultation at jointeffortllc.com or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Joint Effort LLC.
She was literally embarrassed to eat her food, her lunch at school, because she's like, I'm in the third grade and I have a Morningstar griller sandwich, everybody else is eating ham and cheese. And I'm trying to explain like what this brown loafy patty is, or we'd have like oatmeal patties and things like that. And it was just so unpopular, and so now I feel like the culture has just nut where we've always been. We've always made nut cheese, and we've always
and I mean, I don't know if most people know what it was like to be a vegetarian before like 2010.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like hell.
It was horrible. Yeah.
And my aunt was the same. She was like vegetarian 70s, 80s, and they had like literally tofu and like rice.
That's it.
And it was about it. And like what's interesting, so I'm part of the Big Brother program, and my little brother, his mother, Ebonique, was raised very similarly.
Yeah.
And has been vegetarian since she was like, very young. And that's how we got matched in the program, was because they were like, we had one vegetarian in the group, and we matched you guys because
you got something really big in common. Because food is something that you can really share a common bond over. You know what I mean? And especially if you understand, like when I can get deep into vegetarian food where I leave vegetarians and vegans on the surface, and they're like, I've never heard of that, and I'm like, yeah, like oat milk is not new. Like, like where have you been? And I'm like, oh, have you tried the meat substitute lamb? And they're like, what is that? And I'm like, it's like ham, and it's pink, and it's made by Worthington out of Loma Linda. And they're like, Nope.
You're like, it's in a can?
Yeah, you're like not following me at all, are you? Completely lost. So when I found Morels, it was a beacon of light for me because it was in this like fast food genre where I could get like a sandwich, like a fried chicken sandwich and fries, and I didn't have to worry about like you sneaking in like bacon fat in the fryer.
Or it being on the grill from like the last thing we cooked.
Right. Or me having to ask you to change your gloves to make my Subway sandwich and things like that. You know what I mean? Like it was always hard to be a vegetarian, or you just wanted to not be so uncool, so you just let it slide and you just felt in your body like it was wrong. So bring me all the way up to Morels. Morels, amazing restaurant, was here in Louisville, opened in February 2017, and it is no more. So this is kind of where we get into our failure report a little bit.
And it's kind of tied into, I think, like something that I've been struggling with and learning about too, honestly, or just becoming more aware of I've never considered myself an entrepreneur, but I mean, I guess I fall into some sort of category like that.
Definitely.
But I didn't know that like one of the biggest pitfalls of entrepreneurs or creative types is trying to like do too much. Not just saying like taking your one thing and being like, well, I'm just going to keep doing this one thing and making it better and better and better and better.
Yeah.
Like I can't tell you how many people I've met over the last year that have so many cautionary tales about like, oh yeah, you hit one thing and then you're like, it worked. So now I can like do anything and I'm going to have this exact same experience.
Yeah.
I fell into that trap and I'm really trying to get to the point where, I say no because there's an internal urge that just wants to keep like chasing a new creation.
You get squirrel and you want to because you can, right? You have proof of life, you have proof of concept, and you're good at it. So I could make another product and it'd be just as great as this. I have a formula. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess that's the illusion.
It's the illusion.
Absolutely. It's because it's at the end of the day. When business can be like so many things. It can be like a relationship that you have with a significant other. It can be like a child. It can be like a hit song. Just because you make like a band makes a hit song, that doesn't mean they can make another 100 songs and they all suck or they don't go anywhere. So I think you get this idea, you get this high off of something that's working, and you're like, oh, I know exactly how to do this. I'm just going to repeat exactly what I did on this last project.
Time it's going to,
and it's just like it just doesn't translate the same because every business is different, and the local owner of Feast and Royals, Ryan, he had told me like, man, like really conserve your bandwidth, like because I'm telling you. Because I wanted to open up a pizza place so bad. I designed a website, I designed the logo, I designed the menu, and
because you worked in pizza for
I know pizza. I love
right.
pizza,
right.
And I wanted to make like a vegan pizza place. And this was about a year after Morels opened, and I was talking to Ryan about it, and he was like, "Dude, conserve your bandwidth." And I was like, I didn't really know what he was talking about at first.
Yeah.
But as we've gotten more into things where it's not just the jerky company more, it's like Logan Street Market now, and
which is
we have Toppins and Whelpdale Chocolate we bought into, and Sugar High Bakery, and we have all these things, and then it's like, oh God, this is 6 social media accounts. This is 6 tax things to follow.
Right, codes to follow.
I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of like permits and things to keep up with.
And how did you grow? Like, how did you find your staff? Because you have a very unique brand of staff that I feel like works for the brand under Stanley. How did you find your people?
Well, my first employee I hired was a guy named Trevor DeCour, and he, it was pretty much him and I all the time. And then his buddy Tom started working for us, and they've known each other for a while, and Tom was working at Veronice at the time, and so we were all kind of working together. And when we disbanded, Trevor went out and started Mikiote Coffee in Portland, and Tom became head chef at Veronice, and I was running the jerky company. And then I saw Morels, that building was open, and I just kind of called them and was like, hey, do you guys want to get the band back together? And, it had been like 2 years.
Yeah.
And so we all met up and agreed to do it.
That's amazing.
But they had they're both very connected in the LGBTQ community, and they, really helped facilitate kind of creating a very accepting, judgment-free zone.
Yeah.
And I think word spread pretty quickly because we had, some people that wanted to feel safe at work that didn't feel safe in a lot of places, especially here in, we're in Louisville, which is way better than, the rest of the red state is. But, people, there's a lot of real anxiety that exists
I can imagine.
In the workplace, even with bathrooms and, and customers and, all that.
Right.
So it just kind of happened. Yeah. And then I think, after word spread, there was just like a lot of friends of friends of friends of friends started working. Yeah. And the staff at Morels was just
It was just
awesome.
dope. It just was, because you did, when you came in and walked in, you knew you were in a very sacred, safe space. You know what I mean? That you didn't see in other places, in Louisville. But, Morels is no more. What happened?
Well, it's complicated, and it's a lot of people. I think, listen, I've been on the other side where I'm personally offended and upset if a business closed, like Ear Ecstasy, Wild and Woolly. Like, you're like, you can't close.
You can't close.
Like,
you can't do this. Oh, Wild Woolly closed when I first moved here. I
there's just these establishments that like you're like, you can't leave. Like you're part of my my landscape and my narrative in my head. So I've been there, but this is being on the other end of that. I was nervous about closing it, but we talked about it for 6 months internally, and it was such a hard decision, and I went back and forth on it. I tried to do everything I could to keep it open. We tried hiring a GM, that didn't work out. We tried letting the staff kind of run the place, which was doing okay, but it was still, I felt like I had no, I felt very disconnected the last 6 months to a year there, just being like, I'm like, I was so involved early on that I didn't feel very involved towards the end.
Towards the end? Wait, was your hand in too many buckets? Is that what you found? Yeah. Because you did. You became like a person that was like, I'm going to deliver pizzas and do karaoke to a serial entrepreneur very quickly. You know what I mean? And when your hands are in those buckets, you can listen to advice. Like your friend over at Royals was like, man, conserve your bandwidth. And instantly, we put up a wall like, oh man, I can do it. I got it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or he doesn't see my vision. But then whenever you realize that you're there and you are spread too thin and you're not doing anything well, was that where you were like, I can't focus on anything?
Right. Like everything's getting 10% of me.
Yeah.
Is how I was feeling. And then, the jerky company is it's so weird because, the jerky company, like I still feel intimately connected to it, but I wish I was more involved from a lot of different angles.
Yeah.
Which was the idea when we closed Morels, is for me to start getting more involved in that. But I still do all the packaging and all the marketing, and we have a creative office where we do all of our things like that.
Yeah, all your design
that I really
and
enjoy.
Things. You had to. I appreciate you saying that. That was one of those like things that I wondered in the back of my mind, because your creativity is amazing. Social media is outstanding. But I'm like, where do you do all of this? You know what I mean? It's like I picture bean bags are involved, and you know what I mean, like really cool lighting and kombucha, because you have to have like a serious vibe to create some of the things that you are.
Our office is like kind of cool. We tried to make a fun place to like the creative office. I met a woman named Nico years ago. I was having a party at my house, and she came over with her boyfriend, which was my good friend's brother. And they were getting ready to leave, and I was like, oh, all right, yeah, see you guys later. Where you guys heading? And they're like, oh, we're starving. We're going to get food. And I had food out everywhere. And I was like, oh, do you guys not want to eat? And she was like, oh, I'm vegetarian. And I was like,
okay.
Like, hey, listen, everything in this house
is right.
All these wings over here, like everything. And she was like, what? And like, yeah, then we just like that. Like, but so she does all like the aesthetic of our Instagram and all that stuff is just like all her.
That's amazing.
You know,
so, well, she's dope, and shout out to her.
Yeah, no, I mean she's like she drives all of that, and Mark as well. It's like pretty much this guy Andrew, Mark, and Nico and me in this creative office, and my brother Josh that does all the kind of illustrations stuff. But that's our focus. My other brother Adam, you know, he runs the jerky company. I mean,
that's
it's
awesome.
his like. So he came on back in like 2015, but he was the one that was like, man, I need you here. I need you here more often. I need you to be more present with the jerky company.
Yeah.
That was 75% of the pie of closing Morels was just, you know, the jerky company is lacking and needs more help as it grows nationally and internationally. Whereas Morels is like this 7-day a week.
Yeah, grind it out. Yeah.
Every day there's like something new on fire, and like
right.
You know, it's like
literally or figuratively, and and you had to be present for that always.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I run into other restaurant owners around town, and it's so much different because when I run into fans of Morels, they're like, dude, what? Why would you? You know.
Yeah.
You guys must. You know, it looked like it was always busy. You guys were. And I'm like, you know, yeah, we were busy, but like. It wasn't making really a lot of money, and also like it was a lot for what it for what it gave us, you know.
Yeah.
And if I could have just kept it open for the community, I would have.
Sure.
But I couldn't.
You couldn't.
I mean, But I run into other restaurant owners, and they're just like, "You're so lucky you got out."
Get out when you can.
Yeah, they're
yourself.
like, "Oh God bless you, you're out of it."
That is
like,
funny.
I've been in this for 20 years. I can't get out of this thing. Yeah.
And what would be your advice? You know, like, you know, when you look back over your career and you see like, man, F up here, misstep there, shoulda, coulda, woulda. What would be your advice for the next generation? You got a lot of great ideas. You're going to continue to create. You know what I mean? It's in you now. When you get bitten by the entrepreneur bug, you know, it kind of embeds into your soul.
Yeah.
But what would you tell individuals who are looking at, I want to start a restaurant, and then I want to start this, and then I'm going to have a coffee shop, and it's going to have a basement, and then I'm going to have music, and then I'm going to do this? What would you tell that person that can't control it, but, you know, or doesn't feel like they can control it, but maybe that they need to? What would you say?
I mean, I don't know. People approach me all the time. I mean, Christina from Vigrits, you know, approached me before she opened her food truck, and you know what we talked about. You know, and then and even you know after that for her some other stuff she did. I don't ever want to discourage somebody because a lot of times where I feel like I have ran into walls or ran into problems, I've seen other people doing very successfully. So you know, I definitely. You know, I don't know. I think I've become. I'm trying to get better at like I said, saying no to things, and also just being more clear with what it is I'm doing, and not just acting off of impulse of like, oh, this could be cool, like a cereal like restaurant or something. You know, like you hear these ideas, and you're like, oh, that sounds interesting, and then you're like. But I don't know if it really, I don't know what this place is.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. But I would, if I had, you know, $1 billion or whatever, which nobody should have that much money, but I'm just saying.
Right.
If I had a lot of money, I would love to I would love to make Louisville more like when I went to Austin last December, and like there's so many young people doing like really crazy stuff that, you know, I don't know. I was just so impressed. Like I was just like, you know, see these young people like running, I don't know, restaurants or just like off the wall concepts.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. But, you know, I wish I saw more of that in Louisville.
Yeah.
And like, I think like the New Wave Burrito guys like have like a really cool, that kind of vibe.
They do.
And like, I see like other people having that, but I wish there was like tons of that stuff.
Yeah.
And like
you
almost like
duplicate it.
incubators for like of just like
interesting.
people doing really strange things, you know.
Yeah, and making it their life's work and making money by doing it.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess to answer your question, like of what I think I would just encourage people like to go as slow as possible. Like because like everybody thinks they want to beat their competition, like or like, you know, like do something first. But like it's not normally about like, you know, doing it well and continuing to do it like is so much more important than getting there first and rushing it and not truly having, you know, a grip on what you're doing. It's like learning to play the piano versus like memorizing what keys to press. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. That is wonderful. Stanley, this has been fantastic. I have enjoyed talking to you so much. And I feel like I've enjoyed this conversation because it's personal.
Leading in Color is a podcast hosted by Dion Stokes, founder of Joint Effort, Business Marketing Consulting, and me, Marta Miranda Stroud, founder of Catapult Now, an organization and leadership development and training firm. We thrive on engaging in raw, courageous conversations and topics that unpack systems of oppression that impact leaders at the margins of white, patriarchal culture.
So I went to the protest, and when I went to the protest, there weren't a lot of white faces in the crowd. And I thought, what's wrong with this scenario? Because, you know, people have been organizing around all these issues, and in the white activist community, there was this question, why don't black people join our movements?
Right, as opposed to, why aren't we at the table in their movement?
We are passionate about naming and dismantling the barriers of implicit bias, raising consciousness, and forging new ways to think about leadership that does not replicate power over others and create transformational leadership models based on systems of liberation. Join Leading in Color. Join the revolution.
So we have a few things left. One has got to go. I'm going to name some things, and you have to tell me if one of these can stay or can go. We'll start with cities. Portland, Austin, Miami, or LA. One has to go.
What do you mean has to go?
Has to go. It can just fall off the face of the earth. Like, it is no more.
Oh man. I've never been to Miami.
So you can get her. You're like,
I mean, I tell you this. I've only been to Austin once. Loved it.
Yeah.
Only been to Portland once. Loved it. Been to LA a bunch.
Yeah.
Love it. So I mean, I guess I'd have to say Miami, but that's so rude because I've never been there.
Right.
It could be 10 times better than all three of those places. Right. And you know, I mean, I think Austin and Portland and all those places are neat, but like they're you know, they've been having their moment.
They're having their moment
for a very long
time.
time.
Somebody else. Right?
yeah, like Louisville or something. I feel like
Come on.
there's like Detroit, Louisville, like
There's
like
a Baltimore.
Omaha. Yeah, Baltimore.
Yeah, there's places
There's
that you
places that are like
yearning for.
They're really neat. Yeah, that they just don't have the growth. You know, that
they
those
don't.
places have.
They don't.
Yeah.
It's almost Thanksgiving. By the time this airs, it'll have already been Thanksgiving. So let's do Christmas. Ham. Vegetarian ham. String bean casserole. Macaroni and cheese made with cashew cheese. Or stuffing. One has to go.
Definitely the casserole.
Casserole. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like casserole all right, but those other three things like I absolutely love. And I've been my vegan mac and cheese game is very hard.
It's like dope.
I love it. Yeah.
Seitan tofu.
I think I mean I love tofu, but I think I'd have to go with seitan.
Seitan, yeah. That's fantastic. I love playing that game because you get to just know a little bit more about a person. Because I'm like, now seitan, I've had some nasty seitan.
Oh Lord, I've made some of the most disgusting.
Yeah, it can go really good or really, really bad.
Yeah.
Time for shameless shout outs.
Okay.
Shout outs. Anything that you've got coming in the Turnpike that you've got coming up. I want to know your socials, how individuals can like, share, and follow you, all those things.
Cool. So we have some stuff coming up. I can lay out some loose ideas that we have that.
Yeah.
you know, like 90% sure going to happen kind of thing. And then some things that are 100%. But I guess by the time anybody hears this, so Black Friday, we're putting out, so we're doing like Kentucky Future Chicken. It's like our KFC thing. And so we're launching that at Logan Street Market at our spot inside there under Louisville Vegan Foods.
Yeah.
That's
Black Friday. Love that.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it. Like this stuff is like my little cousin is like obsessed with KFC, and they came in from New York, and he's not vegan at all, and he ate it, and he was like. He looked like he was on the verge of tears. He was like he was hugging me. He was like, "This is amazing," and I was just like, "Sean, this means so much that you like this."
You, kid.
Yeah. But like, I mean, it tastes like I don't know. It's crazy. But so we're putting that out on Black Friday. I'm really excited, and we're gonna have that forever. You know, essentially available to the public. And then I also invented this like crazy cream cheese that I swear to God, I feel like it's gonna change the world.
It's gonna change the world, like as in lox and bagels, or is it gonna change the world like as in cheesecake and bagels?
Yeah,
We can do it all.
Yeah, we have like a plain version. So our baker is like working on like buttermilk stuff or buttercream with it, and then, but like we have a scallion and garlic flavor, and then like a jalapeno cheddar bacon. But I just was like I've made 100 cream cheeses, and I've thrown away like 99 of them.
Yeah.
And this one like
We're so tough.
I feel like it's better than like Kite Hill or any of those other cream cheeses. It's
coming for you.
It's great.
I love it.
But yeah, so we're putting that out on Black Friday as well. And then the big thing with Morels that we're just not sure how it's going to run, but we completely gutted it. And the aesthetic is the same, but there's no more. The entire front room is empty now.
Oh.
So it's all seating. So we can seat like 60 people
great.
inside now. And then plus the outside another 40. So we can seat like 100 people in the place now.
That's amazing, because before it was very limited seating. So that's amazing that you've opened that up. So maybe there's a Morels in the future.
So we're using it as like our production kitchen for all of our wholesale accounts. But on the weekends, you know, we're not using it. So we thought it'd be really cool to have like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you know, bar, because we just got our beer license and all that stuff. So we were like, well, it'd be cool, maybe springtime or something, to start like just having it open on the weekends and having like our wings back and you know all that kind of fun stuff that everybody really liked.
That'll be dope.
So,
that's I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. And again, those are just cool things that other cities are doing. You know what I mean? We're just a weekend restaurant, and then you can fall in love with it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can like it.
Well, and honestly, you know, I don't know if you felt this way about Morels, but like, I felt like 80% of people came to Morels on Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, Monday through Thursday, pretty dead.
Crickets. Yeah, it was crickets.
I mean, every restaurant in town deals with this.
Yeah, they do. But you guys really did deal with it, because I mean, it'd be Friday lunch and I want a Pop-Tart, you know, like good vegan Pop-Tart. And they were like, oh, we sold out. I'm like, it's 10:30.
Yeah.
And so,
the weekends were nuts in there.
Yeah.
If every day could have been like the weekends, it would have been awesome. But
so then why not just open on the weekends? Those are business plans that individuals, I really think we need to look at more. Why not do when I can do or when I'm best?
Right.
Why try to do it on a Tuesday when I suck? You know, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's dope. So on Instagram, we can find you at Don't Follow Me, Follow My Food, or can we follow you personally?
Yeah, well, my Instagram account is like trash.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. I have like all my creative outlets on there, so it's like probably confusing. But,
sure.
My screen name is Dad with No Kids.
I love it.
The jerky is LOU Vegan Jerky. That's a great Instagram feed. And then we have Louisville Vegan Foods, which might just be like Lou Vegan Foods, I think. But that is like, we do a ton of cool stuff on there.
Yeah.
And then, we have Sugar High Bakery and Whelptail Chocolates as well. So.
Fantastic. And we can follow you in all of the things. Thank you so much, Stanley, for this
thank
time.
you so much for
I've
having
learned
me on
so
here.
much. And like I said, it was personal for me. And I really want to encourage individuals to like your, first of all, your jerky, to find you online. And then if you have any opportunities for orders, or they're going to be in your local grocery store, shout out to Kroger's and Publix and all those good chains.
Whole Foods, Sprouts,
Whole Foods.
Fresh Time.
Love it.
at Lucky's. Yeah, we're in all those places.
Love it.
Yeah.
So please check out Louisville Jerky in all of those locations. We'll definitely link it at the very bottom. Thank you again for taking the time to share your failure report. Learned a lot, loved it, and I can't wait to have you back.
Thank you.
I'm putting that out in that atmosphere.
Oh, listen, I'd love it.
Putting it out there. Thanks, guys. Thank you to those who sponsored and supported this episode. And the biggest thank you to Sophia Mobley Photography and Videography for being the dopest producer, sound engineer, and editor in the land. Please like, share, and subscribe at The Failure Report on YouTube, Facebook, Facebook Watch, Instagram, IGTV, and on Twitter at Report Failure since The Failure Report was taken. You can listen on Spotify, iTunes Podcasts, or wherever you consume content. To get notifications on our upcoming episodes, please visit our website at thefailurereport.org. There you can subscribe to become a fellow failure and get access to our blog and merchandise. We have things like mugs, t-shirts, notepads, all the things. I'm Dion Stokes. Thanks so much for listening.